Diet, and the Tanis Diet with PMS modifications. I have more modifications, this time to both. So this is modifications for the Tanis Diet to account for or accounting for food poisoning. So what has happened the past few days is I've been eating a bunch of foods, be it like home-cooked food, new recipes, store-bought from Costco and prepared from like a kit, or from like Round Table Pizza. There's been a bunch of food that I don't normally eat. And what's happened is for myself, it's a mild form of food poisoning, where it's like I just eat way too much new stuff. And what has happened yesterday and the day before was my bowel movements like got rid of like a lot of the food I ate, and I reached this I was starving hungry kind of level, as opposed to normal diet hunger on the Tanis Diet or Tanis Diet with PMS modifications. So I'm currently on the Tanis Diet with PMS modifications. So I came up with a solution. I figured out, I used to have these kind of problems earlier in life, and I figured out, I passed approximately 2 to 4 times the normal amount of poo. So I was like, this is like if I ate a bunch of food, this is a lot of poo. So I figured out yesterday, and it was like, okay, and going to the bathroom a lot, and I'm going, okay, I got halfway through my exercise and was like, I can't do anymore because my bowels are like super shaky right now. So my modifications to both the Tanis Diet and the Tanis Diet with PMS modifications, if one gets food poisoning, so I just did yesterday, I had to modify it. It still counts as a day on the Tanis Diet with PS modifications. And there's 2 ways to know that the modifications work. So the modifications are: get done what exercise one can get done. Still try. Don't give up. I made it through a little over half of my exercise, and then add 2,500 to 4,000 calories to the total intake for the day. And how I know it worked yesterday, day of, is I was no longer hungry, and I was not passing what I was eating. So I ate a bunch more food, and when I eat a bunch more food, I usually poop more, and if the food poisoning was still ongoing, I'd be passing it through the system. And once I started increasing my food intake, I didn't poop. I had a normal bowel movement today, but there was the hunger disappeared, and my bowel movements were, it didn't go straight through my system, which means food poisoning has been addressed. And then I guess actually there's a third part to that knowing day of, I didn't get a food high. So food high comes from eating too much food. So one way of knowing one is eaten in excess is when it's like, I got a bunch of energy, this is going to be a great workout. I didn't ever reach that, even with the 2,500 to 4,000 more calories than normal, which shows my body needed the extra calories and nutrients. Why? Because the food that I did eat was passed through the system. So the extra 2,500 to 4,000 calories is not actually extra. It is actually what got pooped out of my system because of the food poisoning. So it does count as a full day on the Tanis Diet with PMS modifications, or the Tanis Diet, if those modifications are needed for food poisoning, because it's just replenishing what got flushed from the system because something just didn't sit right. My parents did not get food poisoning, so I think just my system reacting to the new stuff, something about my system, I got food poisoning, mild food poisoning. And then the way to know day after if it's worked is I feel normal. That kind of thing. And I didn't have excessive bowel movement or anything like that. So, and my diet hunger has returned. So I didn't eat in excess, didn't get food high, and diet hunger set in right away, even with those extra the next day, even with those extra 2,500 to 4,000 calories. So yeah, those are modifications to the Tanis Diet and the Tanis Diet with PMS modifications. Same modifications, which is get day of, address the food poisoning. So same modifications to both diets, the Tanis Diet and the Tanis Diet with PMS modifications, if one gets food poisoning. Day of food poisoning, or identifying one has food poisoning, 2,500 to 4,000 more calories for the day. This is at least for mild food poisoning. And this is, from my experience, what has worked. And then the second is get done what exercise one can. It does not have to be the full thing, but just attempt it. Happy updates or modifications. It still counts as a day on the diet. 100%.